Hey guys, I'm Crocodile Jr. and this time I want to show you some helpful tricks and give you advices about my favorite bird in the league, Azir, the Birdman of Shurima.
Shurima.
Alright, first of all, before you think about buying Azir, answer those questions. Do you use attack move and are you used to farm with the stop attack command? If you are not, then I highly recommend that you first get used to these techniques, cause otherwise playing Azir will just be real pain for you. The reason is, you cannot stop your soldier's basic attacks when it has already done a certain early attack animation, like you could do with nearly every other champion in the league. So, therefore, moving with the stop command between your actions will greatly increase your farming skills with Azir. And regarding the attack move, I believe this is extremely important when you play Azir, because Azir is an ability power auto-attacking carry. He actually plays a lot more like an ADC than a mage. And similar to all ranged auto-attackers, being capable of using attack move is simply a great benefit. There are plenty guides out there that explain well why attack move is important, so I won't go over it here, but give you a bonus example that applies on Azir. One basic harass combination of Azir is to Q a soldier into your opponent and then auto-attack him quickly. Without attack move you have to aim the Q and then you need to quickly right-click the opponent, but with attack move you just need to aim the Q and press attack move afterwards. It increases the speed and the reliability of your combination. Try it out, I bet you will not miss using attack move again on this champion. Azir has to constantly respawn soldiers to keep his DPS up, but he has a base attack speed of 0.6, which is one of the lowest in the game. Therefore, he naturally attacks slowly with hard hits. You don't want to delay his attacks furthermore, but you also have to keep Q on CD to reposition, slow and damage your enemies. This is where effective soldier spawning comes into the game. What I mean with this is, try to W and Q between the auto attacks of your soldiers, so you increase your damage output. Just practice it and it becomes the natural rhythm over time, and it is only one of Azir's specific advanced techniques. At this point I want to explain something about Azirs Scaling. I repeatedly see Azir players that try to harass their opponents, but then miss tons of CS for doing so. That's definitely not worth it, especially because they are not able to pressure the opponent hard enough so that he would be forced to back earlier. Azir's kill potential is actually pretty low, so if you are able to harass your opponent and can probably CS at the same time, then it's totally fine. But otherwise, just concentrate on CSing, because Azir scales exceptionally well with items. His teamfight DPS even outrates Karthus or Cassiopeia. His main source of damage comes from his soldier's basic attacks. One soldier's basic attack does 0.6 magic damage of your ability power. The second and the third one do only 25% damage of that. This means 3 soldiers hit with an ability power ratio of 0.9 with some base damage on top of it. It is AoE damage and scales with your attack speed. You can have around 1.3 attack speed at later stages in the game if you build properly.
In other words, your crazy 0.9 ability power ratio spell has a cooldown of 0.76 seconds.
Does area damage and also has a long range. That's devastating DPS in teamfights, and overall the Emperor just scales like a fucking godlike chicken of Shurima. So, make use of this and try to get every bit of CS you can get with Azir. Now let's assume you can CS with the bird. In the past, Azir's WAP ratio got reduced from 0.7 to 0.6, but Riot buffed his Q base damage at the same time. If you want to harass, capitalize on hitting with Q, because single auto attacks won't do much in the early game. I can show you this with some easy graphics. To show you this here quickly, I did those graphics with a certain program, and you can see on this side here your levels that you have at the moment with Azir in the game, and of course it starts at, well, it should start at level 1 actually, and it goes till level 18. And the Y-axis represents the magic damage you are doing with Azir at the moment with certain spells. So now you can see those green lines, and those represent your Q spell Conquering Sands. And so for example you can see the rank 1 Q here, which does 75 base damage. The next one would do 105 base damage, and it goes up a certain amount till you have put all your points into your queue. Now you can see the black lines and those represent your W, so your soldier's basic attack damage, which you cannot rank up. I mean, you can put points into your W, but you won't increase the damage you are doing with Sand Soldiers, because it's depending on your in-game level. You're getting base damage when you level up till you reach level 18. And I mean, it's quite obvious, but you can easily see it here as well, that your Q is very quickly outscaling single basic attacks from your soldiers. So that's why you should really try to land your Q on your opponent in lane rather than getting basic attacks on him, which is really hard. Okay, then there is something else what I figured out when I did this graphics, and that's look at the black lines again, and you can see that it's starting with a certain amount. Actually it goes up with 5 base damage per level, but then there is a bigger gap, and it's actually going up with 10 base damage when you reach level 9. It's going with 10 base damage up till level 18. So I didn't know about this, and that's actually a decent power spike for Azir, because this is also the time where your single basic attacks will hurt a lot more than before. So that's something what I want to show you, as I think it's cool to notice. And yeah, also what I want to say as well is the wiki is stating something wrong. They are stating that this little, how to say, hidden power spike is starting at level 12, but that's not right. It's starting at level 10 actually. I've tested this in-game, in a custom game, and trust me, it's starting at level 10 or at level 9, and then you get the 10 base damage when you reach level 10. So that's about this, and yeah, just something quick to note.
Since patch 4.18, Azir is no longer bound to the slow WQE combination for escaping, and can now instead of use the WEQ combination. It takes some practice because you have to spamcast it very quickly, but it comes naturally over time. There are some interesting paths you can take with Azir on Summoner's Rift. Azir's passive consists of 2 passives actually. The first one converts every 1% of CDR into 1.25% attack speed, giving you 50% bonus attack speed at maximum cooldown reduction. But please, don't interpret too much into this part of his passive, as it most likely exists due to balance reasons. I don't like this style of Raiden's balancing, but the thing is, they gave Azir a crappy base attack speed so that he just reaches a normal attack speed vulture when he has his maximum cooldown reduction completed, which pretty much forces him to aim for the 40% cooldown reduction. They did the same with Cassiopeia and Sign for example, but whatever. Just don't think Azir gets a real benefit here. That's not the case. His real passive is the second part of it, where he's able to build a pocket turret, how I like to call it. Those turrets can be of great use or even become a disadvantage for you when it baits too many enemies. It is kinda funny because it looks like your enemies feel really disturbed as soon as you build a temporary turret on their side of the map, and very often 3 or even the full enemy team arrives at your pocket turret. So what I'm trying to say is, don't use this ability as soon as you are able to. It will be useless in most cases. Instead, make use of the fact that you can build a turret by just right-clicking an icon. Bait your opponent into a fight around a destroyed turret, slow them down, and then you summon the mighty help of Shurima. This way I was able to win teamfights, even though I was already dead most of the time, because turret OP. Azir's pocket turret allows for some really interesting tactical movements, and I expect to see many of them in the LCS. Here are some other usage options that I can think of and was also able to do in ranked games. For example, your inhibitor is destroyed, the according lane is pushing towards you with siege minions, but your team need to contest that Baron Pit. Save some more time with building your turret and engage the enemies at the Baron Pit. Or a fight happens in front of your second tier turret, rush to the first tier turret and summon the pocket turret. Your opponents are now caught between the 2 turrets, and this situation creates a lot of pressure on them. Your team tries to disengage from chasing opponents, provide the pocket turret to scare them away. Another helpful idea, build up a turret when you are going to siege. The pocket turret is a threat for all-in and dive compositions, and you can poke the enemies all the time. You could even summon the turret for secondary CS farm. Just kidding. Please don't do this. Also don't forget that your turret loses a lot of defensive stats when you are out of its reach. I guess many strategic options need to be discovered yet, but at the moment I find the bonus help during teamfights the most beneficial. Something important that I quickly learned when I was climbing up the solo queue ladder is to actively influence the game flow rather than waiting on the opponent's actions. Most mid laners have a lot of more kill potential as soon as they get their ultimate, for example LeBlanc, Fizz or Syndra. This is not nearly as much the same with Azir when he reaches level 6. His Emperor Divide does low damage, which is totally justified. His ultimate is one of the best disengages in the entire game. Use it to protect your birdie ass instead of going for random wannabe insects. Remember what I said about Azirs Scaling before. You're the most important member in your team. If you die early during a fight, your team just lost their godlike main DPS. But now according to roaming. Roaming is very important as a mid laner, and I recommend to do it with Azir when he has his ultimate up. Check your bot and top lane. Is the enemy pushing? If yes, sneak down or up. Then try to appear behind them and block their escape route with your ultimate. Azir is a really good ganker with his ultimate, but not so much a great duelist. Therefore, I wouldn't exactly search the one-on-one confrontation with, for example, an equally skilled Syndra at level 6. Alright guys, that's it for now. Subscribe please if you want more of my content and also want to support me. I have a lot of interesting stuff about different champions to share with you, and I'm going to upload more of it within the next weeks. Have a nice day and see you next time. And don't forget, Shurima is watching you.
Shurima.